You see, when I actually started this enemy scripting thing with the get last light collisions and everything, I thought it would go fine. My logic was correct after all, wasn't it? I had made one terrible mistake. One that would change the game's mechanisms. Now, I'm trying to fix it. And I'm gonna fix it today. I'm gonna teach you how to fix it too. So today I'm gonna be using HitBoxes. What are HitBoxes? Well, if you really think about it, let's take a game example like Minecraft. In Minecraft, each weapon has a hitbox and a player or an enemy has a hitbox. When you hit a zombie with the weapon's hitbox collides with the zombie's hitbox whilst an attack animation is playing. That's when we know that the enemy has been hit by the player's weapon. And once that we know that, we can subtract the damage from the enemy's health variable. And when the enemy's health variable reaches 0, they basically die. So that was the end of the explanation. So let's start by actually getting into the Godot editor now. Once you've gotten into the Godot editor, the first thing that you need to make is an area 3D node underneath the character body 3D of our character 1. Once you've done this, the next thing that you'll need to do is to make a collision shape 3D. This collision shape 3D is basically a hitbox, and with this collision shape 3D, we can check whether the player has entered its box or not. That's what we're going to be doing with the area 3D node, with the ability of signals. So you see, signals are some things that are released when certain things happen, like this body entering this space or this body exiting this space. And in Godot, we have this body entered and body exited function that's so useful in our endeavor to make an actually amazing game where you can actually squish the enemies like Mario does. So to do this, you need to get to the body entered signal. To do this, you need to switch over to the node property, and there'll be two options, groups and signals, search signals and select signals. Once you're there, under the area 3D node, you'll find the body entered function. Once you've entered into it, it's gonna ask you for a receiver function. What's a receiver function? This function is activated once every time you enter the area. That is, the area 3D is collision shape 3D. So the body entered will activate every time you enter it. That's it. And body exited will activate every time you exited the body. And we're going to make use of this functionality to know whether the player has hit the enemy or not. I've named my receiver functions body entered with the Pascal case and body exited with the Pascal case. I hope that you finished naming your functions too. And once you're done doing that, then just get into your IDE where all your magic will happen, that part. So once you opened up the IDE, we have to create the two receiver functions. That is private void body entered in Pascal case for me, and private void body exited in Pascal case for me as well. I then open the curly braces and I close the curly braces. I open the curly braces and then I close the curly braces. After I do this, I will tell you one thing. That thing is that the two receiver functions, they have arguments. And the two arguments in my case are going to be character body 3D and PLR. You see, PLR is the player variable whose global position is our enemy's navigation agent's target position. And to access this player, we say that it has a type character body 3D so that it will typecast it and check whether the player of character body 3D type has entered the area itself. So that's how this works. Once this is done, I want you to go to the top part of the editor and make a public boolean that's player hit me. This may sound a bit funny for now, but really think about it like this. When the players actually entered the receiver function's area, it actually emits a signal, right? What should that signal be called? In my case, the most logical option was player hit me. It could be anything in your case, but make sure it's a boolean. Once that is done, get under the functions, the receiver functions that we made earlier, body entered and body exited, set it to true under the body entered function and set it to false under the body exited function. Once this is over, we basically have a way of detecting if the player is on the enemy's head or has jumped on the enemy's head. Once this is done, go to the top part again and make a public integer health and export it out to the Godot editor so that you don't have to deal with it via code every single time you want to change it. And then make another variable that's basically a collision timer. Why do we need a collision timer? We want to induce the damage the player gives onto the enemy by the instant that the player collides with the enemy and not anymore. So we need this collision timer for that, and I'll explain how it's done when the time comes. Once this is done, I want you to do something else. I want you to go into the character script. This may sound a bit weird for now, but hey, listen to me. Just go into the character script. Once you're inside the character script, I want you to do one special thing. I want you to export a public int DMG variable. The damage variable can be 1, 0, it can be anything, but make sure it's 1 for now because, well, we're in a tutorial and we can edit it later. And just export it so that you can change it in the editor. Once you've actually done doing this, once you're actually done with this, I want you to do something else. That is, I want you to make a processes function in the enemy script. Once you're done making the processes function, then make a condition if player hit me, that is our player hit me variable. Under that, within curly braces, say collision timer plus equal to 1. We're basically counting the time in which the player and the enemy collided. This turns to 0 when the player did not hit me, which means make another curly braces and close this and make an else condition and say collision timer equal to 0. Now we have an effective way of measuring the amount of time they've been colliding for, and at the first instance of their collision, that is, if collision timer equal to 1 at the first instance of the collision, we subtract the damage variable of the player from the health variable. To do so, we must say health minus equal to plr.get dmg stringified within parentheses followed by the semicolon, and we typecast it to an integer. Okay, now we have a way to kill off the enemy, and to check if the enemy has been killed, go outside of the if statements that we've been making and make a separate if statement that checks whether the health equal to 0, and if the health is equal to 0, our enemy, that is this, will be queue-freed, that is .queue-free. Once that is done, everything is done. Boom! You're done with everything. That's great, right? But before that, I want you to take a small step and go back to the health variable and print it, because we need to know if the health variable is reducing steadily 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 or by damage, blah 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 blah. And that's it. Here's a demo. Boom, it works. Thanks for watching. Hope this video helped you, and if it did, hit the like button on this video so that you can let me know, and comment your suggestions for this channel. Since I'm a relatively new YouTuber, I actually have some time to look at your comments and make improvements. And subscribe to let me reside in your sub feed rent free. And here's a bro fist. Catch it, cause you freaking deserve it.